Everyone, please stand. Councilman Moore, would you do the invocation?
I will. Thank you. Dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful, blessed day. We thank you for allowing us to be this board member for this wonderful town of Winterville. We thank you for all the staff that we have here that has been great for us as a community. Lord, continue on blessing us and leading us and guiding us as a board to do your will, and so that you can have pleasure in all that we do, that we can give you the glory and give you the honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. You join me in the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I got it. You will note that Councilman Moore, is not here tonight. His wife's in the hospital and his absence is excused.
Do we need to do that in the form of motion?
No, sir.
Okay.
We don't
No, sir, you
need a
don't do
motion.
that.
I'd like to, as I say, welcome everyone. Item number 5 is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor,
Yep.
if I, please, we need to add, and I'll defer to Keen, but we need to add a quick, and I do underscore quick closed session. If we
Okay.
could, please.
Okay. All righty. Saying that, do we hear a motion, we approve the agenda?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6 is a proclamation of Dr. Martin Luther King, and in the past, we have read that. I had it pulled up, ready to read. Okay. This is a proclamation honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great moral leader who espoused peace and the brotherhood of man, and whereas Dr. King advanced the cause of the attachment of some social change for the people and the establishment of the beloved community worldwide, and whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. admonished us to have faith, wisdom, and conviction, and that racial harmony can be achieved, and left us a blueprint for his harmonious relationship. Let us therefore embrace his principle of love, peace, and nonviolence, as well as freedom and justice for all. And whereas the Congress and the President of the United States has established by law a national holiday to observe the anniversary of Dr. King's birth, and whereas the state of North Carolina has established the third Monday in January as a legal holiday in honor of his birth. Now therefore, I, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor of the town of Winterville, hereby proclaim January 20th, 2020 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day throughout the town of Winterville. I urge all citizens to avail themselves of the splendid opportunity to be remembered and celebrate the life of Dr. King, who struggled for civil rights and noble pursuit of equality for all Americans deserve our heartfelt appreciation. In witness, therefore, I do set my hand and cause the seal of the Winterville to be affixed this, the 13th day of January 2020, and I sign it, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor. I will mention that they having, Thursday at Martin Luther King Day at, Pitt Community College. I know I attend, and I believe our manager, I don't know who else.
Mayor Pro Tem Robertson and I believe Councilman Moore are also attending.
Okay.
Right.
All right, item number 7 is a presentation, the audit presentation.
We got another.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. Have another proclamation, Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. And this one is very long, and I'm not going to read it. It's in the minutes. It's in the agenda packet.
Would you like for me to read it, Mayor?
Go right ahead, sir.
Proclamation on Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas human trafficking involves the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, buying, or selling of human beings for their services of labor or commercial sex through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas human trafficking violates basic human rights and deprives victims of human dignity and freedom, victims are dehumanized and forced into modern-day slavery. And whereas human trafficking is a growing global and national problem, with North Carolina being consistently ranked among the top 10 states for prevalence in human trafficking. And whereas it is imperative that we educate our communities, our young people, and families to take an active interest in learning how to recognize the risks and resist predators who use coercion and threats to manipulate children as young as 12 into labor or sex trafficking. And whereas, in recognition of the need for that education, the North Carolina General Assembly enacted legislation mandating that sex trafficking prevention and awareness information be included in the sexual health education curriculum. And whereas the North Carolina General Assembly enacted legislation in 2019 mandating that sex trafficking training be provided to all public school personnel. And whereas the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking seeks to eradicate human trafficking by empowering organizations and individuals through collaboration, leadership, and training. And whereas the town of Winterville is committed to protecting people vulnerable to human trafficking and taking action to end human trafficking through prevention, prosecution, and partnership. In witness whereof, I do hereby proclaim January 2020 as Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, and command its observance to all citizens, and set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed the 13th day of January 2020. Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Did a fine job. Okay. Item number 7 is audit presentation. Michael Jordan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have Mr. Michael Jordan with Carl Riggs and Ingram of Goldsboro. They've been doing our audit for about 3 years, and you timed out, Don. You had the password. Sorry about that. But they've been doing the audit for 3 years, and so we've enjoyed working with them. The local government commission, requires us to have an independent audit firm come in and look at the financial well-being of the town. They go through a very tedious process of reviewing expenditures and revenues that a town or is affiliated with. I'll get it from there. And there you go. Thank you. And so, with that being said, we've engaged with Car Rigs and Ingram for many years. However, 3 years ago, we got switched over to a different group of auditors. And so I've enjoyed working with them and appreciate everything that they do. But tonight they're going to present to you some of their findings and try to guide you in what we have with where we stand as a town. And so, please feel free to ask us any questions as you see fit. So before you have your CAFR document. It's a comprehensive annual financial report as well as a slide presentation from tonight's show in paper form.
Thank you, Anthony. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. I will not be long in my remarks as the document speaks for itself, but I want to thank the town for allowing us to be your independent auditor of record. Let me say one thing. That is a rather voluminous document. Over the next week or few days as you're reading through it, if something comes to your attention that you have a question about or unsure about, please don't hesitate to contact me or my colleague, Mr. James Overton. We can help you understand it. As such, the document reads from forward to back as though you were in a 1,000-foot view. It's the most high-level overview of the town, but as you read through it, you're going to lower yourself that as you get to the notes and the statements in the back, you're at a 10-foot view, the detail. So it's the breadth and width of this document that has a lot of great information about the town and the county. So being a part of Pitt County, it's a growing community, and I like that. I do. But what we have for you is information on the comprehensive annual financial report of the town. But one of the things I've always liked to do is to see information in a 5, 6, 7 year period. A number is only relative to another number, but when you stretch it out 5, 7 years, you start to see trends. The trends that we notice for the town are upwards and positive from a financial statement and position standpoint. With that, I'm happy to announce that we issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance we can give that the financial statements are materially correct in accordance with all accounting standards. There are obviously things that we ask of Anthony and his staff, and they do a wonderful job providing the information. And without their assistance, we could not perform this task. But this is about 12 slides of some high-level information, which is important for the town, its budgeting process moving forward, and where things stand and where you see they are going forward. And with that, I'd like to call upon my colleague, Mr. James Overton, who has about 25 years' experience working in finance of North Carolina towns as a former finance officer. So he is very familiar with towns operations such as Winterville. So I turn it over to him, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for having us. And again, I would also like to thank Anthony, his staff, and all the employees here at Winterville. They make this one of the easiest audits we do every year, and they do an excellent job. Okay? I'm just going to go over some highlights. This first slide shows your general fund balance, your unassigned fund balance. That is the fund balance that you as a council can spend in any way you so choose. It's not restricted in any way. Your general fund balance is $5.3 million this year compared to about $5.4 million last year. That's about 56% of your total annual expenses. So you have about 6.5 months saved up in unrestricted fund balance, which is excellent. That is well above the minimum of 8% required by LGC. This is your total fund balance, and it's $9.4 million. It went up about $400,000 over last year, and it is 99% of your annual budget. So you have in your total fund balance a year's worth of expenditures in saving. The town is in excellent financial condition based on that percentage. This is your revenues for the last 5 or 6 years, and you see your total general fund revenues were $8.4 million this year compared to $7.9. Your revenues went up about $500,000. There are several reasons for that. First, you received a SAFER grant this year to recruit and hire additional firemen. That was $177,000. You also received $46,000 in additional funds from the school board for your school resource officer, and you also received a reimbursement for some of your FEMA expenses this year. So, and your sales tax increased due to the growth in your economy. So all of those things led to that $500,000 increase in revenue. You see this is comparing your budget to your actual. Your total budget for this year was $8.4 million in revenue, and you spent just under that. So you did stay within your budget this year, and we didn't notice any departments over budget this year. I mean, that's your revenues. Anyway, your budgeted expenses, you budgeted $13.8 million. Part of that, you have a lot of huge capital projects just getting started, but you only spent $9.5 million. Now, so you're well under budget, but that's a $1.7 million increase over last year when you only spent $7.8 million. There are three major reasons for that huge increase in expenses. Number one, the town purchased 2 fire trucks this year at a cost of $1.1 million. The town spent several $100,000 improving the streets this year, so you spent down some of the Powell bill money you've been saving for the last several years. And the third thing, you hired the additional firemen, and that made your salaries and benefits in your fire department went up. So that is most of the $1.7 million increase in your expenses. Okay? This is your proprietary funds. These are the funds that act like a business where your customers are paying you for a service. And that includes electric, water, sewer, and stormwater. And you see your water fund balance went down slightly. Now your total fund balance went up, but your unrestricted fund balance went down just a little bit. In the electric fund, your unrestricted fund balance is almost identical to last year, $7.1 million. The sewer fund, your unrestricted fund balance went down about $600,000, but your total fund balance went up. That is because your investment in capital assets went up about $600,000, $700,000 because of some of the sewer capital projects you've got on. The stormwater fund also increased about $140,000 this year. So all of your proprietary funds had a net income for this year. Cash balances. In your governmental funds, your total cash balance at the end of the year was $8.2 million. In your proprietary funds, it was $7.5 million. You add that together, you've got $15 million. Now you see a big drop in the governmental funds and a big increase in the proprietary funds. That is because last year, a lot of these capital projects were just getting started, and you had not had got some of your loans in place or drawn down your grant funds. So last year, the electric fund loaned about $3 million to these other funds to get these projects started until you get your loan and grant money. So that is shown as an interfund receivable. So cash in the electric fund went down last year. This year you got your grant money, you got your loan proceeds, paid the electric fund back, so your cash went back to normal this year. Powell bill fund. This year you received $257,000 from the state. In your Powell bill account at the end of the year, you have $379,000 still remaining. But last year you had $964,000. The town spent about $600,000 repairing a lot of the streets, especially in the downtown area. And that's money y'all saved for several years and put it to some good use this year. This is a graph of your fund balance in the general fund. And you see the biggest portion of your fund balance, the kind of lavender color on the left, $5.3 million, that is your unassigned or unrestricted fund balance, which is 56% of your expenditures. It's over half of your total fund balance. The second largest is reserved by state statute, the light blue area on the right. Reserved by state statute is equivalent to your accounts receivable. This is the money that's receivable on grants, garbage fees, the sales tax and franchise tax from the state, that is restricted because you cannot spend it until you collect it. So, and then the red area at the bottom there, that is the $418,000 of fund balance that's appropriated in next year's budget. And then the other little shaded areas are fund balance that's restricted to a particular purpose. Here are your general fund revenues, and you see that your largest revenue is ad valorem taxes, the blue area on the right. 46% of your total revenue comes from property taxes. The yellow area at the bottom that says NC Department of Revenue, that is all your state shared revenues. That includes your sales tax, franchise tax, beer and wine tax, solid waste tax, and other revenues you receive from the state of North Carolina. And then the red area, sales and service, that's your garbage and cemetery revenues. That's your third largest revenue. Okay, this is your general fund expenditures. And you see the blue area there, public safety, is your largest expense at $3.9 million. That went up this year because of the additional firemen and the purchase of the 2 fire trucks at $1.1 million. Your next highest expenditure area is general government or administrative, followed by recreation at 15% and transportation at 11%. Okay? And that is all the slide. That's just a quick overview. Your town is growing. Your revenues are growing along. Your expenses are growing with that also, but you're in excellent financial shape. And as Michael said, please feel free to call us anytime if you have any questions once you have a chance to read the details. We'd be glad to answer them. Are there any questions tonight?
It seems that we are in pretty good financial shape.
Yes, sir, you are. You've got a home.
I mean the town.
Yeah. Especially compared to a lot of the smaller towns in eastern North Carolina, many of which are struggling because they're not adjacent to a large city like Greenville, and you greatly benefit from that, from both the hospital and the university.
Now, we will probably start seeing a big hit on our finance once that period that we have with that grant for our.
You're already in this upcoming budget gonna see the impacts of those percentages start to flip-flop. So if you'll recall, last year's, during our budget process, we started talking about the replacement revenues that would need to come forward in order to prepare for taking on that sole cost once that grant is over. We'll be doing a lot of conversing about that during this budget process. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Jordan and to Mr. Overton, who spends a lot of time with us and putting up with us, and certainly thanks to Anthony and his folks, because certainly we're in such good shape as we are due to the leadership from you all, certainly, but the leadership from Anthony and his department and all of the department heads for the way that they spend their money as if it's their own, and they're careful to make sure that they're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion of any type?
Anthony, I do think you would like us to formally accept the audit, approve the audit. Don't we normally take an action like that normally during the year? Maybe not?
I mean, I think we've done it both ways in the past, I mean.
It doesn't hurt if they like to.
Yeah, I do,
Okay.
if you would, that
All
would
right,
be.
do we have a motion that we accept the presentation?
I assume.
Audit?
So,
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Moving on down to item 13, item 8 is a public hearing.
All right, Mayor. You took the move along pretty seriously, didn't you?
Well, I've had instructions.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So before you, we've got an annexation for Brookfield Section 4, Phase 2. So some site data for that. Cooper Island Development LLC is the property owner and the petitioner. So this is out on Lori Ellis Road, west of its intersection with Old Tar Road. That's the parcel number there, 25766. About a little over 12.5 acres, which is going to equate to 26 residential lots. And that's an R10 zoning designation out there. So the adjacent property owners were mailed notifications of this rezoning back in December, and a public hearing notice was published in the Daily Reflector on 2 separate occasions, one being December 31st and the other this past Wednesday, January the 8th. So here's our property here. Outlined in blue is the total property. So you've seen the preliminary plat for this entire piece of property. What we're going to be annexing is pretty much this piece of property on this side. So that's the entire section 4. We're just doing this phase here. And I'll show you a map of it right there. So you can see it's just, that's the line we're going right here. So the entrance will be here, 26 lots there. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
I just want to make sure is that where that pond on the east side of it's going to be on the east side of the pond?
So the pond, yeah, there's the pond there. You can see the property line is going to be here. So that pond, they're actually going to, next phase will be them taking that pond and they'll actually be filling that pond in, so that pond will be gone.
So actually it's on the west side then, the part we're speaking of.
Yes, sir. It'll be this side here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't there, some water, on that side? Or did they?
There's a stormwater pond in this area right here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So they constructed that during the construction of the subdivision.
So how far is that gonna push our city limit sign back?
So right
So
now,
We'll go where the broken line is?
so right now it'll be right here. I mean, this will
So
be
then
it.
when they finish out the next phase, I'm assuming.
It'll be right here. It'll go all the way to the intersection. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second?
But we gotta have a public hearing
Oh,
first.
sorry. I was trying to jump ahead.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was going, this is a public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none now, what's the,
Motion to approve.
second? Have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number 10 is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the
Motion
consent
to approve.
agenda?
I
Consent
got a
agenda.
question.
Can we get a second?
No, I like item number 3.
You want to remove item number
3,
3?
yes. Just got a question on that.
Okay. All right.
And
We have a
120
motion to approve the consent agenda with item number 3 removed. Is there a second?
Second?
Got a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now the budget amendment.
Yes, the question is, I think we have 2 items, is that correct? Terry?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Mr. Bowers.
Yeah, I believe there were 3.
3, okay. And my question is the one about the vehicles. I wanted to know why we do not have enough insurance to cover the vehicle itself. Instead of we have to add another, what,
Well,
2,000?
So the policy we have only covers replacement value, so the age of the vehicle is what they paid for. So it's not a value, for and that's pretty standard, so that the value is not the value of a brand new vehicle, but it's the replacement value of the vehicle, the value of the vehicle that was, total.
So it was identified as a total loss then?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was my.
So we had some reimbursement from the insurance company, but then we had to fill in that gap with town funds to be able to make the purchase of a new one.
Do I hear a motion to be approved, the number 3 item?
I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number 12 is other agenda items.
Mayor, we have new business. New business.
I'm sorry, I skipped over it. New business. Okay. I'm trying to, Mark here punching me in the side, trying me to go ahead. Okay, you electric territory easement survey contract.
When you're on a roll, you're on a roll. And there is a game on tonight. Bring before you tonight, Mayor and Board, presentation or request for professional services for easement mapping and surveying. This work is in conjunction with the expansion of the electric territory. Approximately, I believe, 14 properties to acquire a 25-foot wide easement along the front of the properties. This proposal we're giving to you tonight will suffice to cover our needs on that. The price is fair, we believe. The company is also very familiar with the area, having recently done some work down there, which is one of the reasons why we looked at them. Take any questions the board may have.
Do you need a motion to approve this easement? Yes, sir. We do.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 2 is a fingerprinting fee.
Mayor, members of the council, we have Lieutenant Chris Williams with us this evening as Chief Will Height is at this annual Chiefs Conference, and it's out of town. Hello, Lieutenant.
Mr. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're requesting an increase in the fee for fingerprinting. Currently, we charge $10. We're asking to increase that to $15 as we got a fingerprinting machine through a grant issued by the state of North Carolina. It does help us streamline our job, but there are associated fees with this device in the way of maintenance and service.
Lieutenant, would you quickly just tell council how the machine we have been able to get differs from how we used to do it?
Absolutely. So we were doing it just like you see it on TV up until a couple days ago. Roll the fingers in the ink and put it on the paper. This causes time constraints when it comes to removing criminals or charged offenders from our NCIC database, which is National Crime Index. And when somebody is coming to us for fingerprints for an application process, they want to be babysitters or whatever, they have to mail these to Raleigh. With the new instrument, this is streamlined and sent directly to Raleigh to update their database as soon as fingerprints are done. It records more information than we are able to put on the card that's created by the state. And it, like I said, assists us with NCIC. The other day we had an offender that we put in there. When we arrested that offender and we put it in there, it immediately sent Ms. Patterson and Corporal Hobbs through the DCI system and a warning to remove that person as a wanted person. So it really does streamline the process, and it really is helpful in the extra information that it records when we take fingerprints.
Thank you.
Didn't they used to call it ISIS?
No, sir, that's the people in the Middle East.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, now, other agenda items.
I don't have any, Mayor.
Okay. Items for future agencies. Agenda. Can't even read tonight. Work sessions and so forth. Nothing?
I don't
Okay.
have anything other than what we previously discussed.
Okay, report from department heads. Anyone that would like to give a report on their department?
I think they may have some important game or something on their mind as well.
Something I think is, yeah.
I was
okay.
threatened.
I'm not gonna skip the announcement tonight like I did last time.
Don.
Well, maybe I was threatened.
If you don't read them, I'm gonna, no, I'm just kidding.
Your announcements this month is the Martin Luther King Day holiday is on Monday, January 20th, and town offices will be closed. Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be next Tuesday, the 21st, due to the holiday. That's been moved till Tuesday at 7 o'clock here in the Town Hall Assembly Room. The Board of Adjustment meeting will be then directly after Planning Board, right here in Town Hall Assembly Room. Reminder to all of you all, the Town Council Vision Setting meeting will be Monday, January the 27th at 5:30 p.m. in the train depot. And then the Recreation Advisory Board will meet Tuesday, January 28th at 6:30 in the Operations Center Conference Room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on from that, town councilor.
Mayor, thank you. I have no report. I will echo that we do have a closed session tonight. I think we can do it in about 5 minutes. It does relate to two different matters. One is things that relate to the attorney-client privilege, some ongoing legal matters we have. Also, I think there might be another matter that relates to the council giving instruction to town staff on negotiating position with potential purchase of real estate. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Ms. Veronica?
I wanted to announce that there will be a Martin Luther King celebration Sunday at 6 o'clock at Next Generation Church. Our library board meets this Wednesday. If there's anything anyone would like for me to have them address, just let me know at 5:30. And I do appreciate the town's purchasing tickets for the luncheon at Pitt Community College. Thank you.
I'll just make a comment about Saturday night. I don't know if anybody was around. I came through downtown about 7 o'clock, and it was extremely busy down here between the brewery, Main and Mill, Dixie Queen. It was amazing the number of cars and people that were down here Saturday night, which was really nice to see. And
Good stuff.
I expect when Naughty Dog opens that it's going to really get busier. So that was fun.
Terry, did we ever take a look at the house that on Board and Merritt?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, we're in the process of looking into that one and two others on Railroad Street.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And also on Jones and Ola, O-L-A, is a request for a speed bump placed down there. There is a great request for that from the community, from the citizens down on that street.
Where is it?
That's going to be on Jones and Ola, O-L-A. Right there on that corner. Could you take a look at that for us?
Sure. I'm sure we're gonna need some more information, but we'll reach out.
Thank you. That's all I have.
To Travis and his staff, appreciate the work over on the west side over there, Manchester, the streets over there. The guys were over there at night working pretty hard, and we appreciate it. Also to Lieutenant Williams, we could ramp up a little bit more patrol over in our areas, like the speeders. See, y'all might stepped out a little bit, so need to rein them back in a little bit over there. And there are two neighbors, where the neighborhood is over there, if you don't mind, just having them come through. And we really appreciate y'all's service. Was Law Enforcement Day last week. Appreciate your service. That's it.
I'm sorry, did we have a house fire over there off of Railroad Street?
I believe we did, and Chief Moore, could you speak quickly to that? But you gotta come forward.
We did Saturday night a week ago.
Yeah.
Okay. No injury?
No.
Thank you.
It's close though.
You're very close.
They did not have working smoke detectors.
So it's a blessing that no one was hurt.
And that is there a service that we provide, smoke detectors?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
If citizens call us, we'll change them or install new ones or whatever they need.
And also too, I saw the fire department responded to, reckon, a medical assist over there in our neighborhood to, Saturday night. We appreciate y'all.
Quite a few.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Ms. Parker?
I have nothing except thanks to everyone. Happy New Year. Looking forward to this busy upcoming months and closed session. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna wish everyone a happy New Year. We have a huge crowd here tonight.
It is huge. It's huge. Absolutely.
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
They all came out. With that being said, do I hear a motion, we close?
Councilman Hines made that motion.
I made a motion.
Is that a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go on into the closed session now.